Hello and welcome to the big story where we discuss the hottest topics of the day right in the heart of the newsroom. I'm Haryanto coming to you live from the Straits Times. Now we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, so be sure to comment, share, like and subscribe to our channel. While you're at it, hit the bell button so that you'll be alerted to our videos. Now I'll have my newsroom colleagues joining me in this show to talk about the stories that got you talking today. Now on to our first segment. The existing ERP in-vehicle units will be replaced with new on-board units, or otherwise known as the OBU. Now the current fixed location charging system will be replaced with an island-wide distance-based charging system. Now to tell us more about this ERP 2.0, I have senior transport correspondent Christopher Tan. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Now Chris, images of the OBU have been circulating around, although LTA has clarified that this is the earlier renditions of it. If it's really true, is it really going to be that big?
Well, I think those were just early mock-ups to let people see, and the people who are taking part in the trials, the engineers to determine where they can be fixed on the car. The likelihood is that they're going to be bigger than the current IUs. As to exactly how much bigger, we don't know. I mean, the pictures that you saw are probably a fair gauge, right? Because these OBUs are essentially, they have to, stream a lot of information, much more information than the IUs. Basically, you are bringing the information of the gantries, what the gantries are serving now, into your car, where we are removing the gantries, right? So the prices, where the points of congestion, where you're going to be charged, and for how long, and all these are going to be live. It has to be a fairly big screen.
And Chris, you mentioned that the gantries will be done away with. So how do motorists then know that they are approaching a gantry of sorts?
So that's exactly what the OBU will do, you see. I mean, when you start on your journey, you'll be on. And we don't know the details, but I mean, for me, I think instinctively, I would want a system to tell me a couple of options before I embark on my trip. For instance, if I'm going from here to Raffles Place, essentially the system will have to give me 2 or 3 options with the price and the time. Then I decide, which one to take. And the system will guide me with navigation, live traffic information, right? And all the other functions that it's supposed to give.
And talking about size, of course, it works for motor cars, right? For big vehicles. What about, say, motorcycles then? Okay, so one, of course, if it's big, will it be too chunky, hinders the visibility for drivers? That's one. Secondly, for motorcycles, is it too big for motorcycles?
So if something like that is to be on a small scooter, it can be a little clunky. So I think, well, we haven't, they don't tell us what they're going to, what the actual OBU will look like and what size it's going to be. But I'm thinking aloud, and I wonder if, with smartphones being as smart as they are now, with so many transactions that are being done on phones, payments and navigation and all that, couldn't we just have an app, an ERP app that is on the phone? Everybody can download and use their phone instead of a clunky OBU.
Right. Fun enough, because we have a comment here from Stephen Goh, actually, who said the same thing. Why can't we put it into a phone as an app? Right? We do have that. We do see that with the parking one.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
We do see that with now even other things as well, like maps. You see that on Waze.
Oh, okay, Waze and all kinds of payments, right? All kinds of payments are being done through phones.
Exactly.
Either proximity or either through various channels. So. I mean, parking is a good example. I mean, it was launched without much hardware that you see, just the phone and app, and it works beautifully. Right?
And Chris, while the new system, of course, seems fairer since it is a distance-based charging system, what about, say, certain segments of motorists? Because the private hire car drivers, the taxi drivers, they clock higher mileage. Does this mean that they are more likely to incur higher costs? And if it does, what are the implications?
Right. So I think, first of all, distance charging, we have to acknowledge that it is a fairer system because it actually charges you for the amount of congestion you contribute to.
Yeah.
Right? The longer distance that you clock. And in fact, instinctively, it should also encompass the time that you spend on the road. For instance, if you are just waiting by the curb, as do some vehicles, they should be charged too because they are indirectly contributing to congestion, right? Traffic flow. Now, for taxis and private hires, they clock quite a lot of kilometers because of the nature of their work. Now, what we want to do with this system is to encourage them to not to empty cruise, right?
Right.
Not to empty cruise, because empty cruising is actually you are contributing to congestion without serving anybody. Right? So they will have to change their habits, and perhaps commuters will be more likely to book a cab rather than street hail one. We don't know. Habits will change with the new ERP2 as ERP1 has changed habits. I think ERP2 will likewise change habits.
And of course, the rollout, it's going to start from next year, and the replacement will be free of charge.
Yes, the first unit, the LTA will bear the cost. And subsequent replacement, it's the same thing. When ERP1 was rolled out in 1998, first unit was free.
Okay. There we have it. Of course, like what Chris mentioned, some of the a lot of details have yet been revealed. Of course, do keep a lookout on our website, www.straitstimes.com, for more updates on ERP 2.0. Right, and of course, all the articles that Chris has written as well with regard to ERP 2.0 and just the whole ERP system in general. Thank you once again, Chris, for coming on board to show to
My pleasure.
tell us a bit more about this ERP 2.0 and what to expect, really, because it is quite a change from the current system. Now, moving on to our second segment, according to a survey commissioned by the Sunday Times, nearly half of students and recent graduates from Singapore's two largest universities have experienced sexual misconduct on campus. Now, it's either receiving crude jokes or explicit text messages, or were pressured to partake in sexualized orientation games. And now, in some cases, they are victims of more serious incidents. Now, what is more worrying is that most of these cases were not reported to campus authorities. Now, to share more on the survey findings, I have with me right here education correspondent Amelia. Now, welcome, Amelia. So, Amelia, tell me, what are the main findings of this survey?
So we commissioned this survey because we couldn't find any public data on sexual misconduct in our universities. We so far have heard all anecdotes, but nothing, really concrete. So this survey found that 90% of all the respondents who had faced some sort of sexual misconduct didn't report their cases to the authorities or to the universities now for various reasons. Most of them said they couldn't, they didn't have enough evidence. They didn't believe that they would be believed. They also said that the incident happened a while ago.
Right.
So, and for those who made a report, eventually they found that most of them were not satisfied with the outcomes.
Right.
So this ties in quite nicely with AWARE's 2014 survey. Which also found that just 6% of the respondents sought any kind of help for similar reasons. And this matches what my colleague Jolene and I had found talking to various victims over the past few months. University students or recent graduates who also said they didn't have very satisfactory outcomes with their universities.
Right. And Amelia, of course, the survey also found that the respondents have different opinions as well on what constitutes as sexual misconduct. More on this.
So most between guys and girls, most people would think that things like outrage of modesty, even rape, voyeurism, those are quite plainly wrong.
Yeah.
But if you look at some of the seemingly lighter offences, there's a difference between what guys and girls perceive as wrong. So these would be making crude or lewd jokes, sending explicit text or messages. So for instance, like 80% of females said that sending explicit text messages or pictures is wrong, compared to about 68% for males. And about 40%, nearly 4 in 10 females felt that being made the subject of a crude joke is not right, compared to 2 in 10 males. So there are interesting points to note, because if you're trying to tackle sexual misconduct, we should also be looking at what people think is sexual misconduct, and if there's a difference between both genders. And if there's a difference between both genders, instead of brushing some of these differences aside as what's typical male behavior, we should be diving deeper and looking at some of these as possibly contributing factors to the problem of sexual misconduct.
Yeah, correct. I mean, of course, everybody has to be on the same page, right, of what constitutes as a sexual misconduct. Then, they know the barriers and, of course, the boundaries of sexual misconduct. Now, of course, the survey also looked at sexualized orientation games in universities, which of course have been in the news in recent years. Are these activities a form of sexual misconduct then?
So it's debatable. Some people think it's just for fun. But actually, we posed this question out to our 1,000 respondents, and 70% of them thought that sexualized orientation games or simulating sexual acts as part of a game is wrong, or a form of sexual misconduct. So there's some consensus lah. And however, there's also a bright spot here, because the survey also found that 14% of the respondents were made to take part in such orientation games. This is down from 28% for the uni graduates who graduated as far as like 5 years ago. So this is a testament, I guess, to the efforts by NUS and NTU. In recent years, they have done quite a lot to stamp out these inappropriate acts or indecent games lah. And they have done things like introducing whistleblowers during orientation camps, doing freshman activities, conducting mandatory student briefings for student leaders who are planning these camps. And I think this is a good move, because we have to know that no one should be made to feel that in order to fit into the university crowd, you have to take part in something that you think is offensive or inappropriate. And if certain boundaries are crossed in that process, in the name of fun, you should also have the right to speak up and to say that you don't agree with certain things.
I mean, at the end of the day, of course, it has to be a safe space, right, for everyone. I mean, it is a school. Everybody needs to feel safe. Everybody needs to feel that they're comfortable, right, and not be subject to this kind of inappropriateness, like you mentioned. Thank you once again, Amelia, for coming onto the show to talk more about the survey findings. Of course, for those of you who haven't actually read the article, or if you want to know more about the other details of the survey findings, do visit our website at www.straitstimes.com. Just a quick glance on the comments section. I think a lot of people are commenting with regard to the ERP 2.0. Again, we spoke about it earlier on with our senior transport correspondent, Christopher Tan. You can read more on ERP 2.0 and what it entails basically on our website as well. Now, that is all we have for you for Top Story of the Day. For more news and videos, do head over to our website at www.straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. Join us tomorrow, same time, for more stories on A Big Story.